Shayana Adinarayana Ananta Shayana Sachidananda Shri Satyanarayana Sachidananda Shri Satyanarayana Atma Rama Nanda Atma Rama Nanda Hara Hara Rama Nandika Charana Hara 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 Nandika Charana Prabhukula Bhushana Prabhukula Bhushana Radhikana Adinarayana Ananta Shayana Adinarayana Sachidananda Shri Satyanarayana Sachidananda Shri Satyanarayana Atma Rama Atma Rama Nanda Rama Nanda Rama Nanda Rama. मुखती किया तो क्यों किया तो क्यों करने किया तो क्यों किया तो क्यों पछता हम कहाँ से आए कबीरा हम कहाँ से करत आभ्यास से करत सुधा करत आभ्यास से मन होत सुधा से रस्सी हाथ जात सिर पर करे निशान कबीरा सिर पर करे निशान तेरा साया नहीं हो मेरा साया नहीं हो आदत पर रख हो आदत पर रख हो भयो से गंगानी मन निर्मय भयो से गंगानी पीछे पीछे हरि पिए कहत कबीर कबीरा कहत कबीर कबीर सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शांति शांति शांति। We will chant verses 40 to 50. Chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, chanting verses 40 to 50. नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायतो महते भयात् व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः एकेह कुरु नन्दन बहुशाखा ह्यनन्ताश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनाम् यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचं प्रवदन्त विपश्चितः वेदवादरताः पार्थ नान्यदस्तीति वादिनः कामात्मानः स्वर्गपराः जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम् kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishvarya gatim prati bhogaishvarya prasaktanam tayapahruda chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate त्रैगुण्य विषया वेदाः निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान् भावानर्थ उदपाने सर्वगः सम्प्लुतोदके तावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणः जानतः कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्यसिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते द्वारेण ह्यवरं कर्म बुद्धिर्योगो धनञ्जय कृपणाः फलहेतवः बुद्धियुक्तो जहातीह उभे सुकृतदुष्कृते तस्माद्योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्. So last class we were completed the 39th verse. We will be studying the 40th verse onwards today. Verse number 40. नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायतो महते भयात् नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्. Is there in this the verse translation, in this there is no loss of effort, nor there is production of contrary result. Even very little of this discipline protects one from great fear. This is the mantra we've been studying in the previous class as well. The people have a lot of fear, of insecurity, of life, because they are not able to understand the fundamental laws that govern life, which once you follow the law, you will be free from the great fear. That's what the Lord Krishna advising Arjuna. In effect, he is advising all of us. In any crisis, in any situation, in any circumstance, in any condition, in any environment, in any place, you will be free from fear, free from insecurity, free from any kind of worry and anxiety. The moment you follow, you understand, you learn, you practice and master the technique. What is the technique? Technique of great opportunity for a human being alone. That is karma yoga. Karma yoga is a technique. It is a skill. It is an art. It is the path of righteous action. Everyone does activities, but they are not free from fear because they are not following the dictates of this technique of karma yoga, righteous action, path of action. The path that culminates in self-discovery, self-unfoldment, self-awakening, that leads ultimately to realization of the Supreme Self, the Atman, the Godhood within you, the ultimate state of, supreme state of human existence. If a person reaches the very end of this righteous path, he gains this ultimate experience of Supreme Self. But when he fails to complete this path, when he not completing the path, even then there can be no effort is wasted, nor can any adverse result accrue from it. So it is just like you can understand the moment you proceed, you have a destination. Example, from here to Hyderabad, you're supposed to travel. The moment you put your effort, even if you reach half of a distance towards Hyderabad, could be Vijayawada, some Guntur, some place, you have completed that part of the journey and you have achieved the desired result of that efforts what you made. Example, similarly, the great path of righteousness, the karma yoga, in a particular specific procedural way, if you execute activities in righteous path, you will be progressing towards the self-unfoldment. And in that self-unfoldment, if you've not reached the final destination of enlightenment, the supreme state of experience of enlightenment, realization of the self, even then, if you don't complete it, if you don't reach it, even then, whatever the path, whatever the distance you traveled, whatever your unfoldment you have done, that is not wasted. You will be taken to that kind of efforts of peace and bliss, as well as you will not be getting any adverse result or opposite result accrue from it. Furthermore, since you have done a great effort of partial distance, not complete distance, even that little progress towards self-discovery, self-unfoldment, you will be protected from great fear, no fear at all, the fear of insecurity, fear of inferiority complex, fear of worries and anxieties and stress and strain and total mental agitations, disturbances can be got rid of. Even little progress towards the ultimate goal of supreme self-unfoldment. So this we can understand through actual human activities, what currently human being is fully engaged. As you all know, the entire human activity are classified under three broad categories. Actions performed with selfish, self-centered desires, actions performed with unselfish desires, second category. Third category is actions performed without desires. These are the three broad classifications of human activity all over the world. So the karma yoga, its purest form, falls under the third category. What is that? It envisages the actions fully dedicated, completely dedicated to the ultimate goal of self-realization, God realization. No other interest, no other focus. Free from all desires and expectations. actions without desires, actions performed with a perfect sense of detachment. A karma yogi commands enormous power, enormous strength, and derives supreme peace and bliss, supreme happiness, inner happiness, unbroken bliss, akhandanandam in Sanskritam. He is got rid of all fears of that worries and anxieties of this world, that plague, that riddled with human beings. Every human existence full of fears and anxieties and worries. And by sheer understanding this great technique of karma yoga, actions dedicated without desires, only desire for the reaching of the Supreme Self, will make sure that you are free from the great fear. But if a person actions performed with selfish and egocentric desires, they deprive you of your energy, of your strength, your vitality. You will be fatigued, you will be tired, you will develop mental distress, mental fatigue. You cannot work long time. You are unable to work anymore. The assertion of your selfish ego instantly spoils your work because your mind gets agitated and you will lose the clarity of your intellect and your concentration goes out of the focus and your actions become impoverished. You spoil the work. Keep your mind free from selfish desires. Try to avoid selfish desires while performing your actions. Fix your mind upon an unselfish goal in life, a common cause. The moment you raise your mind from selfishness to an unselfish ideal, you gain more energy, more strength to work. You get enthusiasm, you get inspiration to work. You no longer feel this mental fatigue, mental tiresome. People say, I am tired, I am tired. Work cannot tire you. It is worries of your past, anxieties for your future that fatigues you, that saps your energy. You lose, you get tired. This is because of your interest is selfishness and self-centered desire functioning through you. That saps your energy. You can exert far greater power in your actions by just change your application of your attitude of mind from to unselfish. That is your actions. Thus rising higher in your ideals. Fix your fixation upon the Supreme Self within and attention upon the Supreme Self within. You will be free from the mental stress and worries. Thus, you fix your goal on the Supreme Self and get rid of this without your ego and egocentric desires. Do not become mentally entangled in your work. Don't get attached to work and don't become workaholic. It is like attachment to work. Act in your homes, act in your offices, act in your society as an impersonal attitude with the activities with impersonal unselfish mental framework. If you have that mental complexion, angle of attitude, of impersonal attitude, you automatically get the reward of all that work provides you. You perform optimally, never become caught up with or attached to anything in the world, never get entangled in the world, never get caught up in the world. People believe that without attachment and involvement in worldly matters, they will lack the motivation to work. Generally, people misunderstand. You should be attached to objects and beings and activity to perform your work. That is not true. The truth is just the opposite. The very moment you become entangled in the world, you diminish or even lose your capacity to work. Your energy gets reduced the moment you get attached to work. You do not progress, you regress, you digress. Whereas when you drop your egoism, when you drop your identity of I am the doer attitude, when you dissolve your individuality in the work, you dissolve your little self, small self, your individuality, when you are unattached, impersonal towards work, then you turn out a real work, a pure work, a beautiful work, divine work. Pursuing this path, you will gain gradually the supreme self, the Atman, the ultimate goal of human existence. Actions without ego and egocentric desires, actions dedicated to the ultimate goal of enlightenment will lead to the supreme self of identification. Beings act in the world solely to find peace and happiness. Every being, including human beings, functioning only for one ultimate goal in life, whether they are consciously or unconsciously pursuing directly or indirectly, they are wanting every living being on the planet searching for only one ultimate goal called peace and bliss, peace and happiness. And when you act in a spirit of karma yoga alone, you gain the true happiness what you are searching for. There is no problem for any other creature except a human being. All other creatures have no freedom of choice to execute their activities, even though they are functioning whatever their instinct, their nature. They are protected by nature. They exhaust their nature and reach their happiness state. Whereas a human being has the freedom of choice. He can choose his actions based on actions with selfish, egocentric desires, or actions without egocentric desires. This choice a human being alone possesses. The choice of karma yoga or choice of karma bhoga. That is the bhoga and yoga. This is the choice human being alone enjoys. The moment he chooses karma yoga, he gains peace and happiness. Whereas a selfish and egocentric activities focused by personal interest, personal benefits, produce only sorrow and misery in life. The selfishness and self-centered nature produces sorrow and misery. It is a law. Nobody can change it, including gods cannot change it. The more you are selfish, the more you are egocentric in your activities, the more you are miserable, the more you are sorrowful. It is directly proportional to your attitude in life. What attitude, what intention, what mental framework you are functioning? That is more important. Is it selfish or selfless? That determines the quality of happiness you are going to enjoy in life. A person steeped in selfish activities can never find happiness in life. A person soaked and submerged in selfish and self-centered activities can never find happiness and fulfillment in life. Another trait of karma yogi is a great nature of fearlessness. Everybody is worried about what is my future, what is my future, what is my future. Everybody thinks about their future, not realizing the thought of fear about the future, about themselves is because of their own focus on themselves, self-centered interest. That is the cause of fear. But the moment you turn and you prepare yourself and act like a karma yogi, the fearlessness enters into your system. The quality of fearlessness seeps in your bosom. You just practice a little practice of karma yoga can protect you from even a great fear. Great fear also dare not approach you. You become fearless, daring and commanding state you will be able to enjoy because of unselfish attitude like a karma yogi. When a person's destructive nature in his behavior, when he is selfish, self-centered, when he does not fulfill his obligatory duties and responsibilities, he will not do what he ought to do, fear arises. You always observe in the offices, those who do not do their obligatory duties and responsibilities as the job holder in a company, always they engender fear. They always fearful. Conversely, a karma yogi works constructively for the welfare of the particular people, others, for the company, for the organization, for the institution development, his duties and responsibilities. His fear removes. He feels great sense of satisfaction and contentment and fulfillment, and no fear arises. He fears nothing in this world because he has done what he is supposed to do in life, what he ought to do, obligatory duties. This simple truth is clearly demonstrated in the case of animals. As you are aware, all carnivorous animals, the animals which live on flesh, they are selfish and destructive. So it's like their life is fraught with fear. Whereas the herbivorous animals like cows and buffaloes, bulls, they yield wholesome milk. Their life is totally opposite. The horse serves humanity, the cow and bulls serves the humanity. They are far from being destructive. These animals have no fear at all. They are so strong in their confidence. Hence, even a little practice of this discipline, little bit of execution of this discipline, this practice should rid. What is this practice? Karma yoga. Yoga means joining. Yuj means join. Yoga means joining the Supreme God, the Atman. Karma yoga means action dedicated to the joining of the Supreme Self, merging in the Supreme Self. That is your attitude, intention for doing. The moment you are clear about that, your fear disappears, your worry disappears, you will be energized, you will be strong, and you will be performing a great work and great result will come out of that. So hence even a little practice of this discipline should get rid of you of the great fear that harass the people around. So anybody who is scared of even this pandemic, you must understand is just selfish and self-centered, is not so able to understand the human life, human existence, the purpose of human being, and how to function in the life. You must function for the interest of the people, for the welfare of the people, for the dedicating their actions to the common cause. Then the fear disappears. This is the law of Karma Yoga. Now we will study 41, verse number 41. Vyavasayatmika buddhi Yekeha kuru nandana bahushakahyanantascha buddhiyo vyavasayinam vyavasayatmika buddhi Yekeha kuru nandana bahushakahyanantascha buddhiyo vyavasayinam. The verse translation. In this, the intellect is resolute. See, the Karma Yoga, no doubt, karma means action. Yoga means joining the Supreme Self. But what is that important equipment which helps you to make this possible in daily activities? It is your intellect. So, in this, the intellect is resolute. Resolute means strong. That's translation. And one-pointed. Resolute and one-pointed. Oh, Kuru Nandana. Kuru Nandana. Kurus means Kauravas, Pandavas. The Kuru Vamsa, total clan of Kuru, Kuru Vamsham, means the entire Pandavas and Kauravas all put together. Oh, Kuru Nandana means Arjuna. Krishna addressing Arjuna as Kuru Nandana. Many branched and endless indeed are the thoughts of the irresolute. This is very most important to understand how people are irresolute and people who are resolute. People who have a strong intellect, people who don't have intellect. This must be understood. So, the many branched and endless indeed are the thoughts of the irresolute. So, a Karma Yoga, the path of action, envisages a firm goal in life first. First discipline one needs is fixation of the goal in life. Hardly anybody understands the goal in life first. If at all they have any goal, all the goals are worldly goals. Goals pertaining to the materiality and sexuality and worldly, mundane goals. Hardly anybody understands the real goal of life which gives you everything in life, including worldly benefits. That is called Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the path of action which envisages a firm goal of life in life determined by the intellect must fix that goal. You should have a strong intellect first to fix that goal in life. The initial goal may be an unselfish ideal related to the world. Means you can fix an unselfish goal for a family welfare or a community, society welfare or welfare of the larger cause of the country, people in the world. Depend upon how much unselfish goal you can fix yourself. That is your capacity. You should be realistic and practical. How much realistic and practical you are, that much your intellect and mind and personality will cooperate. If you are unreasonably unrealistic, the goal may not perhaps inspire you, and you cannot be actions in that manner. So, to that extent, you fix your capacity of the intellect, you should fix the unselfish goal in life. The same ideal could be gradually, once you achieve family welfare, to the society welfare, to the community welfare, to the country welfare, gradually evolve to the ultimate goal of supreme self-realization, God-realization. Whatever may be the ideal, the intellect must remain single-pointed, focused, single-pointed on the goal with full resolute, strong fixation. Contrast to this, to the irresolute nature of the mind. People who are not resolute, their mind takes over, and therefore they have no fixation on the goal, so they deviate and digress and go all directions, helter and skelter. Therefore, they will not be able to understand what is the purpose of human existence, because mind is powerful. Mind takes in all directions, because mind is made up of likes and dislikes. You like what you do not like what you avoid what you don't like. You do what you like, avoid what you don't like. Then you take off by the mind and you become irresolute. So what is it telling? Conversely, this is the irresolute nature of the mind. The mind cannot plan and program. Your mind cannot plan and cannot program because it is irresolute. It is not strong enough to get fixation. Because it has got endless desires. Human being has a multifarious desires, plethora of desires for the world. Therefore, they cannot have fixation. Branching off in various directions. These unfulfilled desires create mental agitations and sorrow. The more desires you have, more mentally disturbed you are, and you lose your focus of interest and attention on the goal, and you lose your direction, and you become. Krishna advises Arjuna not to court sorrow, not to seek sorrow by falling a prey, prey, means a victim, not to follow a victim to the desires of the mind. Mind, you should not become slave. You should be master of the mind by strengthening your intellect. The name Kurunandana, by which Arjuna is addressed, means joy of the Kurus, happiness of the Kuru Vamsham. Arjuna belongs to that great family clan of Kurus. They are all the time happy people because they are karma yogis. Their action dedicated to the supreme God of self-realization, God realization. That's why they are always joyful and happy and peaceful. Their actions dedicated to the welfare of the whole country and whole world. That is the Kuru Vamsham. Krishna advises Arjuna to follow that clan of Kurus. And his heroism brings about great joy to his clan. Whose heroism, Arjuna's heroism, gives great happiness to his entire community of this Kuruvamsam. Use of Kurunandana in this context implies that Arjuna would lose the joy of life if his actions are motivated by the irresolute mind rather than the resolute, strong intellect. So if the intellect guides your actions, you will be joyful, you will be peaceful, the actions will become productive, you will reach the ultimate destination of self-realization or God realization. If you follow the mind irresolutely, not following the intellect, you will be following your whims and fancies, likes and dislikes, and your actions become impoverished. You lack productivity, you lack concentration, you become miserable, you become stressful, worried and anxious, and you will lose that goal, ultimate goal as well. Therefore, Krishna advises Arjuna to follow the intellect rather than the mind. The physical body executes all activities. The body is a vessel, the body is a vehicle, the body executes actions, but body cannot act by itself. Your body cannot come and attend these classes by itself, neither my body cannot come and talk by itself. What is that which is propelling these actions of the body is either the desires of the mind or the determination, discrimination of the intellect, or the third possibility is the combination of the both mind and the intellect. If the irresolute mind drives your body to actions, you lack direction and dimension in life. You lack proper understanding of life. You will be astrayed. While actions are guided by the resolute intellect, when the actions are determined by the intellect, discretion, intellectual discrimination and fixation of the goal, then the chosen path reach the determined goal in life. This is a law. So one must question, are their actions determined by intellect or they are guided by the mind's whims and fancies? One must question all the time while performing actions. In this verse lies the preliminary step one should take on to the spiritual path. When you are taking to the spiritual journey as a spiritual student, spiritual seeker, spiritual aspirant, your actions must follow the dictates of your intellect, not the whims and fancies of your mind's likes and dislikes. I like this, therefore I do it. I don't like this, therefore avoid it. That should not be your attitude while performing actions. What I have to do, why should I do, what am I doing? Questioning the very purpose of your activities will determine your application of your intellect all the time. The desires of your mind will draw your body to action. So this because of the desires of human being, desires of the mind, the human being's body is drawn to actions. Your body should not yield, should not become victim, should not yield to the pressures of your mind. Your mind should not be pressurizing, for which you need a strong intellect. Without the sanction of your discerning intellect. So your intellect must examine, your intellect must question, analyze each desire. Whatever desire you are having, you must analyze, you must verify, you must clarify with your intellect, discretion, and determine the course of action. Then that is called discriminative action. An action directly following the desire of the mind without intellectual surveillance, intellectual guidance could lead one to the disastrous result. Could become a person could become victim, perhaps he can be fatal, it could be dangerous, he may die also if it is not guided by his intellectual supervision. Therefore, for your typical example we can have is all the time you understand the people. There are diabetic person, a person who is wrong action is doing, a diabetic person is succumbing, he become victim of eating sweets because he is having tremendous desire and pressure of the mind. The mind want to eat sweet, but he is a diabetic patient, he ought not to eat sweet. but his mind is more strong and powerful than his intellect. Intellect cannot control his mind. His mind demands sweet. His intellect prohibits from eating it. Intellect says no, no, no. But intellect is not strong over the mind. Then what happens? But his intellect does not have the enough strength to overcome it, overpower the desire. He gives in to the sweets of the demand. He eats the sweets. He eats them and he suffers very badly. He gets hospitalized. Perhaps the diabetic condition becomes severe, and he may get he may get lose his life as well, depending upon the intensity of the disease. He gives in, if he gives into the mind. The vast section of humanity today, the entire humanity, vast section of humanity is victimized by the overpowering demands of the mind. Today, entire world, the mind controlling the human being. Hardly there is any intellect strength, intellect guiding the human being today. That is the current state of affairs of the world. Entire humanity is suffering. So, the role of the intellect, the power of the intellect, the strength of the intellect is in today's world is alarmingly low. Very, very weak intellect functioning in this world today. Intellect hardly plays its role today's world. Therefore, everywhere there is suffering and suffering and suffering in the human beings' lives. Very, very sad state because of lack of this strong intellect to control the mind, which is given this excellent guidance followed by the Lord Krishna, which is provided to Arjuna. Now we will study the verses 42, 43 and 44 together. Yami mam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipaschitaha vedavadarata partha nanyadastiti vadinaha. Kamatmana swargaparaha janma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishvarya gatim prati bhogaishvarya prasaktanam tayapahrada chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vijiyate. So verses translation: the unwise utter flowery speech, rejoicing in the letter of the Vedas, O Arjuna, saying there is nothing else than this. The second verse, 43, obsessed with desires, with heaven as the ultimate goal of birth and action, they prescribe many specific rites and rituals for attainment of pleasure and power in the world. Those who are attached to pleasure and power, whose minds are drawn away by that flowery speech, have no determined intellect fixed in samadhi, God consciousness. It's very interesting in these three verses how a human being led astray from the ultimate goal of peace and bliss of self-realization and gets caught up in the world because of the incessant desires and demands of the world, and he gets fully justified. He gives all the reasons and logic and justifications. That's what these three paragraphs are teaching us, these three verses. The celebrated poet says Vyasa compiled the great scriptural texts called Vedas. The Vedas are compiled by Veda Vyasa, Mahatmanaha, Vishala Buddhi is a Veda Vyasa. The Vedas are the 4 in number. There are 4 Vedas are there. What are the 4? Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharvana Veda. Each of these Vedas contains this following 4 sections. There are 4 sections in the Vedas. One is mantras. Mantras are called lyrical chants eulogizing, praising the beauty of nature. That is mantras. Vedas have 4 sections. One is mantras, second one is brahmanas, third one is aranyakas, fourth one is Upanishads. These are the 4 branches, 4 sections available in each Veda. Next, the mantras are the lyrical chants eulogizing the beauty of the nature. The brahmanas, the injunctions for many diverse rituals. The injunctions are instructions for many diverse rituals. Variety rituals are covered in brahmanas. Next, third one is aranyakas. Aranyakas are various methods of subjective worship. That is called aranyakas. Fourth one is Upanishads. Upanishads are the sublime philosophical teachings of the supreme reality. If you would like to get the supreme reality of enlightenment, these Upanishads are the section which contains these sublime philosophical teachings and with which you will be able to reach the enlightenment. So the Brahmanas form the major part of the Vedas, which is called, we also called Veda is separated as 2 parts in 4 sections. One part is Karma Kanda, another one is Jnana Kanda. Jnana Kanda is Aranyakas and Upanishads. Karma Kanda is this front portion of the Vedas, which are these 3 mantras and brahmanas and a little bit of aranyakas as well. So the brahmanas form the major part of the Vedas because they are the rituals, karma kanda. Vedas dealing with karma kanda. Kanda means section, karma means action, rituals. The elaborate rituals and sacrifices. At the time of the Mahabharata, people were lost in Karma Kanda portion. Even now, many people lost in Karma Kanda, which is nothing but rituals and rituals and rituals, prayer and worship. In the Vedas, they developed a terrible obsession of ritualistic practices in the name of religion. In the name of religion and spirituality, people are caught up in rituals and ceremonies and sacrifices without knowing the meaning and purpose of the rituals. They are completely obsessed and entangled by the ritualistic practices. Sage Vyasa found that people's condition. Also, the author of the Bhagavad Gita is Vyasa, introduces this portion of as a satire of an obsession to ritualism. He gives the satire. The present 3 verses deplore the state of deterioration in religious practices prevalent in those days. The people are purpose of human existence. They ridicule the people's indulgence in rituals for their own selfish reasons, for their own selfish benefits and selfish ends, personal benefits. The Karma Kanda, the portion of the Vedas, was meant to mainly purify the mind The karma kanda act for the ultimate stage of meditation, of single point concentration, and ultimate realization of the Supreme Self. These practices were the means. These rituals, these actions and feelings, all are ritualistic practices, are the means to get that end of God realization, self-realization. But people plunged into the karma kanda as an end in itself. They thought that karma kanda is the ultimate end, there is nothing beyond. They lost in the actions motive only for their personal benefit. They believed these rituals would earn them the fulfillment of their mundane desires, worldly desires of sensuality and materiality. Such misguided practitioners of religion did not aspire or attempt to reach the supreme state of God consciousness, self-realization. The situation seems to be much the same in the modern world today as well. Religion today has become either mechanical rituals and mechanical rites and rituals followed by at the physical level, and blind reliance and superstitions and beliefs entertained at the emotional level, at the physical level, ritualistic blindly following, at the emotional level, there are blind faith and superstitious beliefs at the emotional level, or at the intellectual level, fanaticism, fanatic attachments to religious concepts at the intellectual level. Krishna alone will save me. Jesus alone will save me. Rama alone will save me. This kind of fanatic, rigid, fundamental, misguided concepts at the intellectual level. Rare indeed are those who escape these religious diseases, religious weaknesses, religious ills, even today. Fewer still follow the clear path to the transcendental reality, the supreme realization and God realization. The unwise, the people who don't apply their intellect, reason and logic, unwise people, merely recite, merely chant, recite the beautiful hymns of the Vedas. They utter flowery speeches. They are electrifying the audiences by attractive speeches. They seem to be stuck with the words and phrases and vocabulary and only textbooks without understanding the meaning. They fail to see the reality that lies beyond this material world. The Atman, the Supreme God, is not their focus at all. Obsessed with worldly desires of name, fame, power, position, money, family, all the personal desires. Their ultimate goal, practitioners, they are short-sighted of observe certain rites for attaining pleasure and power by using these rituals. Their ultimate goal in life is to reach heaven. However, they misconstrue heaven is not a geographical place for supra-sensual enjoyments, but their minds are preoccupied with the affairs and pleasures of the world. Through this religion, they use it for personal, selfish pleasures and sensuality and materiality from the world. They do not direct their intellects towards the transcendental being of Supreme God. They are far removed from the God consciousness, self-consciousness, Supreme Self. We will continue in the next class, the remaining portion of this verse. Thank you very much. Hari Om.